and welcome to Because School Means More, the podcast where we explore what true inclusion looks like in schools and how we can make it a reality. Each episode will share real stories, practical strategies and insights from schools that are leading the way in inclusive education. Whether you're an educator, a parent or someone passionate about inclusion, this podcast is for you. Everyone is welcome here. Because School Means More is brought to you by the Inclusion Partnership. My name's Jo Wilkinson and I'm the Inclusion Partnership Manager and podcast host. I'm joined by some co-hosts and guests for each episode. Our mission is to create real change by building an inclusion movement, a network of schools and organisations committed to inclusive relationships and inclusive provision for every child. Join us as we break down barriers, share success stories and work together to build schools where everyone belongs.
Because school means more.
Welcome to today's episode of Because School Means More. Delighted to welcome our guest today. We are talking about learning for life from a specialist setting perspective. My name's Jo Wilkinson. I'm the host of this podcast, but also the inclusion manager for the work that we're doing in Derby.
Great, really excited today. Phil Smith, I am your co-host.
Hello, Phil.
How are you doing? And I chair the Inclusion Strategy Group, and I also am a proud head teacher of Alderker High School up in Langley Mill.
And then absolutely last but not least, David, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so thank you for the invite. Massively appreciate it. My name is David Braybrooke. I'm the head teacher at St Andrews Academy in Derby.
Fab. Right, let's do a check-in question. David was intrigued as to why this wheel is behind him here. So I'm going to ask you to spin the wheel and we're going to ask you a check-in question. Away we go. What are we on then?
Oh, let's go for a 5.
Oh no, I think let's go 6.
6. Go on then.
It's a bit personal, but are you an early bird or a night owl?
I would say night owl without a shadow of a doubt. Getting out of bed's hard work. Yeah, so night owl all day long.
Jo, what about you? I don't think you've answered this one, have you?
Well, I think I said I was a bit of neither, because I quite like going to bed and getting some sleep. I don't necessarily want to get up in the morning, unless, and often I do, it's often a Saturday when I wake up at 5 in the morning and quite like getting up at that point where there's no pressure to get up and out for work necessarily. What about you then, Phil?
Early bird. Early bird, yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I do struggle late on at night. Right, come on, it's got to be another go.
Should we spin it once more?
Yeah, let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do this.
Right, number 10. What do you enjoy doing outside of school?
So I coach my lads' football team. So we're a grassroots football team under 12. But football's a big part of my life. So Burton Albion season ticket holder, sat in Pride Park. So that might be controversial. Yeah, so football's my outlet. Liverpool fan as well. So we'll be going to the Legends match tomorrow at Anfield to watch Steven Gerrard.
I'm a bit of everything. I suppose recently, I would say, past 12 months, I've got into wild swimming.
Wild swimming?
Yeah, I'll do that all year round. So I'd even go and like break the ice.
Oh, I'm with you.
And there's a bit of peace. There's a bit of inner peace that it creates.
As a swaddy, I probably wouldn't be swimming in swad ponds. I'll be honest with you. It's not happening. To be fair.
No, but I might have done a bit of swooshing down the Trent, so I can't see it being any cleaner.
Fair enough. Nice.
I think I've said before that I love swimming as well, but absolutely not wild swimming. That would not be my thing. Give me a swimming pool with some chlorine in, and I'm happy. Nice. So I swim every other day and really enjoy that. But in terms of anything outside of school, just enjoy spending time with family, friends, getting out in the fresh air and walking the dog. Let us move on then and talk about context. So tell us a little bit more about your school and the makeup of the school.
Yep, so St Andrews Academy is a secondary special needs school just north of Derby City, Bredsall Hilltop. We've got 169 on roll today, so year 7 to year 14, and we've got 2 sites. So our main site being at Bredsall Hilltop for Key Stage 3, Key Stage 4, and then our Key Stage 5 site, which we've recently been given, and it's been genuinely life-changing. So we've recently acquired the building on Whittaker Road, which was the previous Transition 2 building. So we relocated our sixth form from sort of the main site area to Little Over. Genuinely, the facilities have gone through the roof. Much more space, much more subject-based learning and specialist areas. Great access to the city. So Derby City Council awarded us 18 months, £1.1 million to refurbish and refit our main site. unfortunately, we did close the residential provision to make that happen. However, over the concept, the young people have benefited massively. So whilst we did move away from the 10-person residential provision, all of that area now is contemporary specialist place, which is completely accessible and enjoyed by all 169 learners. So
it's quite a big school for a special school then.
Yeah, and growing. So I was there in 2017 with 90 pupils on roll, and then obviously we're 169 today. We're down for 175 plus in September. We get probably 100 consultations a year plus. We've got 20 places, so we could be a lot bigger if we were a lot bigger.
And I think, just for our listeners as well, if you could just talk about kind of like the barriers, the challenges that your learners face.
It really is bespoke, niche, personalised, and very specific to the individual need. But if I can give you some sort of benchmarks to sort of give you sort of an idea of the young people that come to our school. So 40% come with that are non-verbal. However, I'd say nearly 100% have got some communication need in some form. So that's one of the biggest barriers to overcome. And communication is on our school development plan permanently. So that's not something that we ever say, okay, we've achieved this. It's something that is totally a high priority to, always. And we're constantly learning and finding out ways to help young people sort of express their needs and sort of have that expressive and receptive language barrier. So we're blessed to have Makaton tutors on site. We've got specialist AAC leaders, which for sort of augmented devices, so any kind of tech. And we're constantly looking out for different communication needs and areas to develop. We do a lot of work with other special schools as well. So that's a high priority. Communication forms sort of a bedrock of one of our needs, really.
Amazing, thank you.
The special school that's quite big, how do you make that happen for
every individual? Well, to be fair, that is the beauty and that is the challenge. And that's what excites us at St Andrews in terms of our team, in that no two pupils are bringing the same areas of need. So what we need to do is we take the young person, we listen to the families, we listen to the young person as much as possible. We take as much information as we can from the previous setting and from the education healthcare plan, and then we wrap the offer around the young person. Therefore, everyone's on their own bespoke learning journey throughout the school. And we use a lot of specialist intervention from occupational therapists and educational psychologists and people to help us to inform that practice. And then there's a constant communication loop with families and young people to ensure that we're getting it right. Obviously, we've got the statutory annual review process, an annual review of the EHCP, but you can't wait 12 months to review. It's plan, do, review daily, or hourly at times. Sometimes, we've got to try and marry the provision to the young person's needs, and that's diverse. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and have that approach where it's there's no guru approach at all. Not one person knows all, and it's never a job done. And that's for me personally what keeps me in special education and keeps St Andrews really vibrant, really diverse, and the community is exceptional. And when you're offering that level of service for families and young people, the connectivity and the reward that you get from young people and their families, that's special. Yeah, that's the real unique selling point, I think, in terms of special education, and particularly I'm going to be biased because I've been there been there 10 years, and I love the fabric of everything that we do, really.
Amazing. Yeah. So talk to us. Obviously, the name of the podcast is Learn for Life. Talk about what's your philosophies behind that.
Yeah, so we start with the pupil need. Although we do have an entry point for the national curriculum and then adapt that as best we can, we start with pupil need. And as a result, the conversations and the collaborations are based in a unique sort of group conversation initially. And then the Learning for Life, whilst we've got this national curriculum, we have a balance of subject-based learning and independent living skills. So some of those young people, GCSE, all of our young people, GCSEs is not an option.
Yeah.
So that accredited pathway just isn't an option. A small minority of our young people may access somewhere like Broomfield, where they've got that sort of academic element to their provision. But the vast majority of our young people end up in a social care, personal budget element.
Yeah.
So, if you've got a personal budget, we need to upskill our young people to have the voice to say how they want that spent, and then have the ability and the skill set to access that. So travel training forms a big part of what we do. Independent living skills is a real sort of cornerstone of our learning for life. But again, I sound like a broken record, but it really is what that young person needs. And while some people come that they're verbal and they might already be travel trained, their level of barrier could be absolutely anything in terms of sort of anxiety of being into crowds or the inability to sort of use their voice. So it really is a one size fits one approach.
One size fits one. That's a
Yeah,
great phrase to use.
Yeah, absolutely. But the collaboration is key. And I've referenced to you various stakeholders there. You can't underemphasise the role of the family within our provision.
Yeah.
Who knows the young people better than their own family? So we need to be really humble, receptive, reflective, and take those approaches in so that the young people and the families feel heard. Also, if you imagine you've got a young person with additional needs, a lot of trust, support in an organisation, especially if they've got complex medical needs or personal care needs, or they've not got the ability to articulate their needs and wants themselves. Handing over your children to other people requires a massive amount of trust. So it's really important to us to connect with families and young people all the time. We've got various feedback loops. We've got retro homeschool diaries. They work for some, not for others. We've got all of our staff are all first name. We've all got email addresses. That's totally totally dished out. We've got obviously phone. We've got multiple platforms for communication. We're a massive user of the services in the city to help translate, to make sure that we're accessing sort of every community within the city. And really, they don't send their child to school and then it's our job done. We go in tandem. We go in tandem together. Another factor as well, that 80% of our young people are on transport. Therefore, that means that there is no school gate mentality where you've got that exchange of information. At the end of the day, they're putting the young person on a taxi with a taxi escort, and then they're coming back quite disconnected. I mean, so it's really...
So it's a difficult way to create a community then.
It is, but we hold multiple different occasions and events. So we did our spring fair last week. I was fortunate enough to be on the sign-in and selling the tokens at the door. Inevitably, what happens is as the parents leave and they sign out, there's an exchange, there's a comment, there's a dialogue there. And it does sound virtual signaling, and it does sound like a Miss World speech, but the things you hear and the impact that you're having on young people and their families, it goes beyond a sequential learning journey. It goes beyond a curriculum offer. It's life affirming. It's life changing. In the same way that a mainstream young person will go on and get a degree, and that's their springboard into life, and that's their currency. Our role really does sit in terms of the learning for life, so that they can access the world around them. They can communicate as best they can. They can be as independent as possible. Imagine we didn't do that. Imagine that wasn't our approach. Imagine we had a one size fits all. Here's our curriculum. You start on this page, day one, like book one, page one. Teach this. Imagine we did that. You'd be cutting out. You'd just be putting a brick wall against their future. So it's really important that we get out of the way and facilitate and scaffold and support and empower and advocate and champion. That's our role. And we've got an incredible breadth of resource to do that, and an incredible thirst and desire to do that. So yeah, it's magic.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I suppose I'm intrigued from a, the large number of the listeners are going to be mainstream focused.
Yeah.
I suppose it's almost, what you do sounds absolutely amazing, but, you kind of segued a little bit of mainstream in there as well with your thinking. And I suppose, what could all schools do, from your opinion, to support young learners? And yes, they may not have the kind of the bespoke level of need that some of your young people have got, but they will still have barriers and challenges. So I suppose
what philosophies do they need? How do they need to think differently?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I was mainstream trained myself. So I did a 4-year primary degree at the University of Central England. Since been knocked down, that's how old I am. So knocked down. So I did a 4-year primary education degree, and then was in mainstream primary for 3 years. I taught year 3 for the first 2 years, then year 2 for my last year. And this is absolutely no slight on the school or on the system or on the structure. This is just my personal experience, is that I got to the year 3 in primary education mainstream, and in the January I just handed my notice in, and their teacher was like, well, why handed you notice in? I said, well, it just wasn't what I thought it was. I would get to maybe this was just me at the time, but I don't know. I was just a failing teacher. But we get to parents' evening, and genuinely, I'd had 30 children with no TA support for a term, and there were some young people I just couldn't talk about. I genuinely couldn't talk about them. Inevitably, those with the challenging behaviour or a particular need, I could talk about. But it just didn't feel inclusive. I just didn't feel like I just didn't feel like I had the resources, and I just got switched off. I was in that statistic of how many teachers leave after 3 years. I was that guy.
Right.
And then I went on supply to pay the mortgage, because you've got to. Whilst I just figured I had a bit of a life crisis, and just the stars aligned for me to go to a Derby City special school at the time. And I walked into there. Genuinely, this is blow your mind. I didn't know there were special schools, and that is mad, isn't it? Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know. It never occurred to me, or it never been a module at uni. I'd never had a personal experience with it. I'd never had any family members. I'd had no connection with that world whatsoever. I didn't know that was a thing. And I went to a specialist setting on supply. My head fell off. I was like, "What? We need to be doing the literacy hour, the numeracy hour. Where's your intro? Where's your main? Where's your plenary? Like, where's your phonics? What's happening? Why are we not doing this? Like, where's the curriculum? Like, as somebody that had been 7 years in mainstream education, I was like, where is it? Where's the job? And then I got in touch with the agency at the end of the day, and I was like, don't send me back, because I can't do it. No work the next day, and then the school had asked for me back. So I was like, I've got to go else I can't pay my mortgage, basically.
I love this story.
And then I stopped being so ignorant. I stopped being so arrogant. I stopped being so narrow-minded, and I sat back and I'm like, why is this like this? What? And where do I fit in, and how can I add value? And when you stand out of your own way and have a look at why that is like it is, why the young people are acting like they are, what's their backstory, what is their element of need, what has not been met for them, what's going on with the families, and you start to think about how can you empower and remove those barriers. I was like, I'm going to be retiring in special education. I know I am. And I know that is the case. So I moved from that school to another school in Burton to another school in Derby, because that was inclusivity. That was personalised. That was bespoke. That was, let's take the young person and wrap the provision around the young person. And taking a class for 10 years from September to July, like those parents still contact me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's like, I can still, like, you end up having such a connection with their need. It's really it's special. Yeah. It's a unique, life affirming, incredibly rewarding journey to go on, where the knowledge you have of somebody else's child is so forensic and so important that you've got the ability then to help them make the next steps, that they can access the world around them. Like, what's better than that?
I'm fascinated listening to you with regards to your philosophy and your changing personal philosophy.
Well, that moment in reflection, and I think we talked in the first series, didn't we, about those light bulb moments? And it sounds like you had that light bulb moment.
Yeah, it's
I love that phrase
authentic.
It's getting out of your own way, and almost, you talk about, it's almost, what's your advice for all settings? Well, there's that idea for all teachers to, I suppose, I'm not going to say genuine. I don't mean genuine, but you talk about that idea of really getting to know the child. What are their needs?
I'm falling back in love with education.
Absolutely. Yeah, it saved me. I was on my way out of that. You'll never guess what I was doing as well. I was delivering Clean Easy catalogues.
Wow.
That's what I was doing.
Okay.
And I was going to build a clean, easy empire.
That was
And
your
I was,
plan at that
I was
point.
going to build a multi-level marketing, and I was going to be king of the mops in Burton.
Okay.
That was me on that trajectory, and that stopped me in my tracks. You can keep your mops.
Wow.
You can keep your mops.
I bet they were gutted.
They were gutted, to be fair. Yeah, it was. But it did pull me back in. I'd made my mind that I was leaving the profession after spending 4 years at university, getting into significant debt, 3 years of my career. You know, you kind of like, it's a bit of a moment, a bit of a life crisis, isn't it? But it was because I was missing that connectivity.
Yeah.
I was missing that calling.
That inner drive.
Yeah. Because if you've got a conscience and you get into parents' evening and you genuinely don't know that young person, you're sitting across their families and you can't speak about them.
That's heartbreaking.
Well, it's how inauthentic is that? And I accept that's a large part of that with me. I'm not blaming the system or the school or anything. It's just the way that my philosophy and calling to the profession was. It was like false advertising. I got there and it wasn't what it said on the tin. What I thought a teacher did and what I thought the role wasn't what I was being asked to do or given the resource to do. So when I saw what was happening in the specialist settings in Derby City at the time, that's what I thought teachers do. That's empowering the young people to be the best they can be. And how can you do that in mainstream when you've got 30 young people in OTA support and you're smashing through a national curriculum? Like, it's not the fault of a teacher. Like, that's systemically, for me, the actual concept of what we're asking mainstream colleagues to do is an impossible job. And a lot of people are doing it, which is incredible. I couldn't do it. And I
but you're a superhero in a different way.
Well, no, I would. Not at all. I take my hat off. And I've got 2 children myself. They're in year 7, year 10. I'm fortunate enough to the school that they go to do get out of their own way, and the support that my children have had personally in mainstream has been great. I can't fault it, and how they've got their systems to be inclusive. I can only talk from my children's perspective and me. I'm sure there's different stories within the school, but it is possible in mainstream. There's some incredible work doing, and this discussion has been very mainstream special. Forget mainstream special.
Okay.
It's education.
Yeah.
It's education is what it is, and we really do need to go, in my opinion, on a journey where we dovetail and remove those barriers. There is no Berlin Wall running through mainstream one side and special the other.
Okay.
There really isn't. We're all here as a collective responsibility to serve the needs of the community effectively. So with that, why are we not speaking more? You know, the school that I'm at currently is 4 schools on the road, 2 mainstream primaries and a mainstream secondary. Like, what an opportunity that is. But everyone's got their drive, and everyone's got their focus, and everyone's got their complexities. How can you be more strategic? How can you step back and connect, and then come back in and have that selfless approach? Like, resources are tight.
I think
What can you say?
we're trying to address that in some ways, to try and have that united approach and that collaborative approach. And you know, we've just celebrated this week that 100% of schools in the city have now signed the inclusion charter.
Yeah, mega. Yeah.
So that means there is that joint commitment and that united way of working. But yeah, there's so much more that we can do now to try and do that peer-to-peer sharing.
It's an absolute open. I'm literally here giving a lifetime season ticket to anybody that's got a scenario or a need around anything that they think we can add value, and vice versa. You know, specialist settings. It feels like we've got the answer where the guru and we'll share. Absolutely not. You know, the pedagogy, the resources, the working knowledge, the opportunity is massively reciprocal. It goes both ways, and I'm up for that and open to it.
And one of the principles of our inclusion charter is child-centred, and I think you've put that across brilliantly around. You wrap the provision around that child and put the child at the centre,
and meeting
the family
need,
is the core of
identifying need, meeting need at the point of need, creating those resources.
I don't know. Question to you two. I'm going to switch roles. If you were going to start year 7 yourself again in your setting for you personally, what could the school have done?
Year 7, I didn't particularly enjoy school.
No.
I went because I had to go.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that I do the job that I do is because I'd like to have more positive impacts. And,
Yeah.
and in a previous podcast, I've shared about my experience of when my child was in year 7. And I refer to her as the forgotten child, and she was a conformist child, but the teachers didn't know her. So yes, there is that idea about getting to know who my child is, and there's lots of different strategies that schools can use for that, and et cetera, et cetera. But I think from a personal point of view, it kind of links to what you said, and for me, it's about what you're immersed in. And I think sometimes as schools, we can be quite narrow in what the experiences we give for our young people.
What you perceive as a good offer.
That potentially leads to, I'm not going to say it leads to prejudice or anything as dramatic as that, but I'll give a prime example. The school that I'm head at, we're really fortunate to have a post-16 level 1 provision. So there's a large number of students there with high levels of need. But those young people are part and parcel of school life. And that involves going into lessons, and sometimes as kind of, and you've talked about it, right, for me, rightly so, this whole idea of mainstream, not mainstream, but even with regards to setting of, you've got your top set kids and you've got nurtured kids and you've got this, that kind of putting people in rooms and boxes,
but
for me, that label is wrong. Whereas I think about those young people that I see, they're having a full immersion, and they're empathetic, and they're appreciative of the fact that we, as human beings, we are all different.
And part of your community.
Therefore, we're all part of this community. Therefore, why would you treat each other differently?
Absolutely.
And actually, we're talking about inclusion here, and it's about experiencing and putting your philosophies into a broad range of children. And I think that is what's coming over, and it's almost, we're giving a personal challenge here to people listening about, could you go and work in a special school? And actually, if I think about, and I'm not talking mainstream here, but mainstreams have got internal APs, for example. The amount of staff that will turn around and go, well, I'm not going to work in that AP. And you go, why? Because it's a child, they're one of ours. Okay, yes, they make some poor choices from time to time, but that doesn't make them unteachable by you.
What's more important, the love of your subject that you're teaching, or the love of empowering those young people to be the best they can be? What's your driver?
That's a fundamental question, isn't it?
What's your driver? Because I totally understand that people will go through and love a subject. So my subject was art. I loved art. I did an A-level GCSE. Great, and I was a specialist art teacher in the primary setting. I'm not going there to get my own enjoyment for my own needs met. I'm going there to use the subject as a vehicle to inspire young people. So are you there for your own enjoyment for your own subject? So you've got the guru approach because you're the font of all knowledge, and your status and title and power comes from knowing loads about something. Or are you there because you've got a genuine love to empower those young people to be the best they can be? Why are you there?
How many teachers out there go, I want to teach A-level because I know I'm really good at maths, so therefore I'm going to teach A-level and get these really good kids to be even better. Well, actually, if we think about true inclusion, surely their thought process should be, I just want to get all kids to enjoy maths, or all
to grow in
kids
confidence.
to enjoy art.
The subject is the vehicle for young people's achievement. That's just the vehicle. Then how can you be inclusive if you're going to be sort of specialist and niche?
We haven't talked quite a bit about values, philosophy, put the world to right a little bit. Can you talk about one thing that you're most proud of as a head teacher?
If I'm going to think about in the last 2.5 years, the things that hit me the hardest is our graduation and our post-19 outcomes and achievements, and essentially the philosophy and approach that we've taken as a result of that input and the collaboration with the families. Those young people are going on to life fulfilling better outcomes as a result of our input, and that feels quite like it's all about us, well done us. Like, absolutely not. But the decisions that we make and the approaches that we take, if we take different ones, we'll genuinely have different outcomes at the end. So we've had young people that for the first time now are getting sort of supported internships and paid employment. Don't think that if you don't get paid employment that you've come to the end of service and you failed. That's absolutely rubbish. What we need to do is make sure that the young people and the families feel fulfilled and that they've reached their potential and that they're happy going in and they've got the skills to access that. But when you're at our graduation, you see, well, I mean, there's not a dry eye really, because the journeys for everybody is really, really powerful, and that's the highlight for me as a head teacher massively, in that the organisation, the structure, the resource allocation, the budget allocation, getting that recipe right, or as right as you can, will make or break effectively. And I'm really proud of what we're achieving at St Andrews. I think the dialogue that we have and the sort of benchmarking that we do evidences that what we're doing at the moment is allowing young people to springboard to be the best they can be. And again, what's better than that, really?
Nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
What's better than that, really? Again, it doesn't come without its challenge, but we're dead authentic and honest with that challenge. And I think when you can speak like we're speaking now,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I know there's cameras and mics here, but I could do this if there was a pint there and there was no cameras. Effectively, like I'm telling you, like the actual transparent truth of what we achieve. And there's no problem too big. There really is no problem too big. We come with a real severe need at times, and we'll get presented with a scenario where we don't have the resource, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the expertise, but that's not a reason to say no or stop or put a barrier in.
Nice.
And I'd love that to be sort of universal across the board, really, in terms of, okay, we haven't got the resource, we haven't got the need, but what are you going to do about it?
And I heard you say earlier that you think we're in a much better place now as a city than we were 10 years ago.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
What excites you about the work around the Inclusion Partnership and the Inclusion Charter, your role as part of that?
I think the awareness and the priority of it is tangible for me as a leader in the city. So I was in the city 2008 as a teacher. Maybe I didn't have the seat at the table. You know, I wasn't there. I was in the class. I get that. I understand that. But I was a deputy head in 2017, so I can give you that sort of decade benchmark in terms of what I was being invited to, what I was being aware of, and what collaborations I could access then and what I can access now is night and day. It genuinely is night and day. I mean, this in itself, like I was offered the opportunity to work on the working group for the inclusion in set that's been there. You know, I ripped your hands off for it. It was great. And those meetings that we've had and the working groups that we've had, whilst I'm contributing to conversation, I'm literally writing down and networking and going back to people and creating sort of professional relationships. That's why I'm here today. Like, I didn't fully understand exactly what we were going to go through. I didn't, but I fully trusted that what it was going to be of value. So
hugely valuable,
yeah. So you know, it's a yes from me.
Brilliant. So we'll remember that when we ask you for some future things as well, which we absolutely will.
If you don't ask, that concept of getting out of your own way and being humble and saying, you know, can you do this? Are you free for that? You know, I've genuinely not had a no. I've never reached out to a school in the city and the answer back has been no. You know, at the very least, they'll say, I can't, but I know someone who can. Here's an email. You know, it feels collaborative. It feels like there's a real collective responsibility for Derby City community. I'm not saying send community, I'm saying community.
Yeah.
So if you are a resident in Derby City, it is my responsibility to advocate for removing barriers to learning. And I'm sat here as a conduit for of resource, and there's no invoicing involved. There's no reciprocal. I'll give you this if you give me that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
together.
Yeah. It's unified and it's unity. And it's as simple as that, really. And for me, it's that or nothing.
What a lovely way to start to pull this to a close.
I would love to rephrase this podcast. Get out of your own way. That has been. I love that as a phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was stood in my own way. I literally, you know, it was a narrow-minded, ignorant, arrogant, judgy approach to education, and I went into that special school thinking that they got it wrong.
And if I think about, and this ties to a lot of things, if we think back to our first conference with David Braybrooke, we think about the work that's going to come with Mark Finnis, there'll be similar type of challenges, because sometimes they are challenges or opportunities for you to go away and think. But in essence, it's based around the same topic, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's about
completely.
your why. What's your personal why? What are you getting out of this? What's the power dynamic? It's fascinating. So thank you.
Yep, no worries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invite and the opportunity. It's as you can tell, if this podcast was 5 hours, I'd keep going because it matters.
I was tempted by the pint, to be fair. Should we do a checkout?
Yeah, let's. Do you want to spin it this time, Phil?
I'll spin it.
It was much more manly, rugged spin than mine, wasn't it?
It goes to number 1, though.
Oh, okay.
I love this one for you, David. So, what's one thing you hope every pupil takes with them from your school?
Belief, I think, is the word that springs to mind. Belief that they can be and do anything they want to. The world is there, is accessible for them. There are no barriers. Believe that you're in the community that will meet your needs, and believe in yourself. So belief would be my
amazing.
I don't think we can get a better checkout question and answer than that one.
Yeah.
And really, the final question was about a motto, but potentially it might be a similar answer. But if your school had a motto for inclusion,
well, school have got a motto, and this is not. I haven't blagged this to fit in with the agenda at all. But our motto is learning together, achieving together, and so 50% of the words is together. And sort of a thread, and I'm sure you'll have picked up along that a thread is that connection with the community and the togetherness and the linking in with families and the young person's voice. And it comes back to the getting out your own way. So if you're going to be that insular, obviously it totally contradicts the concept of being together. So we're learning together and we're achieving together. So that would be my motto.
You've put it across so brilliantly.
Thank you.
This morning and really inspired me.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're able to join us and come and talk to us. And we'll give you your certificate. You've got a sticker as well. You can take
I've
back
not had
in
a sticker
school.
for ages. I love a
first
sticker.
First podcast you've ever been part of?
Absolutely the first podcast, yeah.
Brilliant, and hopefully more to come. But thank you so much. It's been a really fascinating conversation.
And thank you for the work that you two are doing as well. Obviously, we can't do this without the opportunity that we've got, and I can't wait for the inclusion in set.
Thanks, everyone. That's a wrap for this episode of Because School Means More, brought to you by the Inclusion Partnership. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights, ideas and inspiration to help make schools more inclusive for everyone. Real change happens when we work together. So, if you're inspired by what you heard today, we'd love for you to be part of the inclusion movement. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Share this episode with colleagues and connect with the Inclusion Partnership. Thanks for listening.
Because school means more.